wanted to share a technique here that's pretty exciting. Here I've got 1, 2, 3 rows of trees. Some of the bigger trees were planted a couple years ago, and then you can't really see all of them, but lots of other follow-up stuff planted in here. Hybrid poplar, shagbark, shellbark, plum, chestnut, everything. The whole forest mix long-term in here in rows. And here it's okay. We've got a lot of weed pressure, but as long as I cut them and mulch it a few times in the season, they keep growing. This stuff is getting there. Down here, this whole space was always just mowed because you can't get a spade an inch in the ground over here. It's just rock. The ledge is right there, and the grass doesn't grow too thick. You know, you've got all kinds of indicator species here, and the grass itself grows very sparse and not a thick sward. So what I've been doing is this spring, I've been scything all the material from both sides into one line here. I did dig a few holes with the mattock to plant a couple trees, but bringing all the material in, and I made a big pile of it. And what I'm doing now is, because you can't even plant, you just can't put anything in the ground. It's really just an inch to bedrock, or maybe 2 inches or so. And like here, I kind of had to fish around and find one little pocket where I could plant a tree, but you basically can't. So what I'm doing is putting all of this hay material, whatever it would be, in any context, any herbaceous material, windrowing it in the row, so it's parallel to my other tree lines. And then because because I can't plant anything, I have one wheelbarrow load of chicken compost, and all you have to do is move your scythe material off to the side like that, make a trench, and then I'm packing it. As you can see, I've packed that material pretty densely. So that's actually gonna be probably almost a season-long mulch. You know, it's 6 inches of wet packed material, and then one line of compost down the middle. So a tiny little bit of compost goes a very long way, even though it's very generous just in that line. So you're really not spreading it wide, it's just thick in one line. And now I have a whole bunch of fast-growing annuals and biennials plugs, started plugs that I'm gonna pop in here in a minute. Tithonia, and then I'm gonna seed beans on the side. And so hopefully in one season, we'll go from very, very thin sward with one wheelbarrow full of compost here to a bustling ecosystem developing right down the middle here. And then hopefully the plan will be I'll just seed direct trees into it, because since I can't really plant and can't even effectively get a mattock in here to plant any big trees, direct seeding is just going to be the best way to go here. And obviously big trees can grow here. That's a nice size oak, that's a locust, this is a cherry. It's not that nothing can grow here, it's just that planting can't really be done. So if you accumulate the organic matter in a row, add a little bit in so that you can get the seeds in the ground, get some starts, fast growing starts that accumulate energy and nutrients into the compost, we should be able to jumpstart this thin, super bony soil into something totally different and start that process in one season. All right, 10 minutes later, that's the beauty of having a nice fluffy compost to plant into. It's all planted out. We've got hazelnuts, peaches, castor beans, tithonia in between everything, beans planted in, and some tree seeds planted in of various lifespans and heights and widths. So you may also notice I put the hay much closer in. So after I planted in that line, I moved the hay even closer. I may even touch it up a little bit even more, so we see almost none of the compost. But there's a nice shovel full of compost every 6 inches. So it's probably 5-6 inches deep of compost, but just in this one line. So everything, and now the hay will start to soften the soil on the sides, whatever's there, and the compost will fertilize it all, made planting take, no time at all. And now the maintenance will be some weeding in the middle. I'm sure some stuff will come up through my chicken compost, and then 1 or 2 more times in the season, scythe all this material in and touch up the mulch, and then we should be good to go. So if you need to establish something on the boniest no soil pasture at all, here's a way. And you only need to do 1 row every, it depends on what you want to end up growing as the finished whatever, as your main crop, but it could be basically any tree. You can seed it and it will find its own roots. So you just start with the annuals and the biennials, short-lived stuff that'll take up the space. And then I happen to have trees in little plugs. Like these are some hazels that I started in flats, and that's great for this kind of thing rather than bare root. And these seeds are only, they just germinated this spring, so they're really not root bound. This is pretty close to a natural system of direct seeding, because the roots aren't circulating. They're just barely filling that cell. So they still are in their first push of growth of their life, and they still will have a chance to go and find the loose spots and really hook into the native soil rather than having a root-bound pot that you're planting. So I normally don't like pots, but this is a little bit different, and specifically for this kind of planting.